Marcus Aurelius never meant for you to read his journal. The book we call Meditations was never written for an audience, never polished for publication. It was his private notebook, his attempt to wrestle with his own mind. Think about that for a moment. The most powerful man in the world, emperor of Rome, commander of vast armies, ruler of millions, sat down each night with a wax tablet to remind himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Most of us treat journaling like a trendy self-help tool. Marcus treated it like survival. His writings weren't decoration, they were discipline. And if you learn to journal like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus, you'll unlock a practice that will give you clarity, focus, and the kind of inner strength that can't be shaken by chaos. Why? Stoics journaled. The Stoics didn't journal for nostalgia. They weren't keeping diaries. They were engaged in what they called spiritual exercises. Seneca's letters from a Stoic were really exercises to himself, disguised as correspondence to a friend. Epictetus told his students, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Marcus filled page after page, not with stories of battles or politics, but with reminders to stay calm, to remain just, to act with virtue. Why? Because philosophy wasn't theory. For the Stoics, it was training. Journaling was their way of rehearsing who they wanted to be. The Stoic journaling framework 1. Morning preparation. Each morning, Marcus prepared for the day by writing down what he expected to face. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly, but I will not be harmed by them." This wasn't pessimism. It was armor for the mind. He knew that by expecting difficulty, he could not be surprised by it. Imagine starting your day this way, writing out the obstacles ahead of you and the virtues you'll need to meet them. 2. Midday reminders. Marcus often reminded himself not to get carried away. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. These lines feel simple, but they're razor sharp when you apply them in the middle of your workday. Your journal becomes a place to pause, even for a minute, and realign with what matters. 3. Evening reflection. Seneca described this practice perfectly. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I omit nothing. Why should I fear any consequence from my mistakes when I can say, "See that you don't do this again. This time, I forgive you." The Stoic journal at night was not about beating yourself up. It was about honesty, brutal honesty. What did I do well today? Where did I lose control? What will I do differently tomorrow? This cycle, prepare, remind, reflect, is the Stoic journaling method. Now here's something most people miss. Marcus didn't write for inspiration. He wrote for correction. Read closely, and you'll see that Meditations is full of self-rebukes. He scolds himself for being lazy, for seeking applause, for wasting time. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Imagine writing that to yourself every evening. Would you still waste tomorrow? Modern psychology now confirms what the Stoics practiced 2,000 years ago. Studies show journaling reduces anxiety, improves focus, and builds discipline. But here's the key. Only if you do it like the Stoics did, not as a brain dump, but as deliberate self-examination. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Stoic journaling is exactly this, dragging your unconscious impulses into the light so they no longer control you. So how do you journal like a Stoic today? It doesn't require fancy notebooks. Marcus used scraps of parchment. Seneca used wax tablets. Here's a simple framework you can use. Morning page, 5 minutes. Write out the challenges you expect. Who might frustrate you? What temptations will you face? What virtues will you need? Midday pause, 2 minutes. Write a single-line reminder. Control what you can. Endure what you must. Act with justice. Evening reflection, 10 minutes. Review the day honestly. Where did you stumble? Where did you stand firm? What lesson will you carry into tomorrow? Do this daily, and you're not just journaling. You're crafting your own meditations. Picture Marcus Aurelius on campaign in the forests of Germania, surrounded by mud, disease, betrayal, and the constant threat of death. And yet, in his tent by candlelight, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That line has survived nearly 2 millennia. Why? Because he lived it. Because he practiced it daily in his journal before he practiced it in the world. That's why your journal matters. Because the lines you write in private shape the way you stand in public. Most people ignore this truth. A journal is not a record of your life. It's a rehearsal for your soul. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to inspire us. He wrote to train himself. Seneca didn't reflect to appear wise. He reflected to keep himself honest. Epictetus didn't tell his students to write because it was fashionable. He told them to write because without constant reminders, the mind drifts into chaos. So tonight, open a blank page. Write one line. Be brutally honest with yourself. Repeat tomorrow. Do it long enough, and you'll discover something life-changing. Your own meditations. As Epictetus asked, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? Start tonight. If this video gave you clarity, subscribe and join us. Leave a comment with the first line you'll write in your journal tonight. Let's see which of you dares to start your own Stoic practice.